I am Tosamoran Fala, and I am playing Matt.
I'm Kelly Gibson, and I play Melanie.
I'm Sam Cordis, and I play Luke.
In the play, we're all wearing wrestling singlets, which is interesting because there are both men and women in the play, wrestlers and non-wrestlers in the play, but we're all kind of put on this level of equals, which is what the singlet helps us do. It kind of neutralizes all of us. Not only does it make us equals, but it kind of exposes us. It shows some of our frailties, our personal stuff that we keep secret, our sensitivities. And that's all what this play is about, exposing these things that cut deep, and how better to show it by being able to see more of us.
For me, what I'm using it for is that in a typical play you might be able to say, oh hey, that person looks like a nerd, or that person looks like a jock, or she's obviously the popular girl. But in this show we don't give you any of that, so it really leaves it all up to the audience to decide and to make perceptions about us, about who we actually are. And what you get to judge that on is only our actions and our words. And so as an actor, it's my job to make sure I flesh out my character enough that you can make those distinctions, and you can see these archetype characters who we've made three-dimensional.
So like, you assume we're all friends, but we're not. There's a lot of enemies in the play. And so some ways that we can show that I'm friends with someone is, especially with my wrestling teammates, is by being wrestlers seem to have a very touchy-feely kind of way of communicating with each other. They're very personable, and they don't mind touching each other. And so there's a lot of times with my best friend Matt that I tend to hold him a lot, or wrestle with him, or try and play with him in that way, and that just shows that we're best friends, even though we're dressed alike, just like everyone else.
Dealing with these levels of status in the play, and dealing with these things that make you feel up and down, it's easy for us because we can draw on our experiences. And I remember when I was in high school, there were times when later on in school where I felt more like I was in charge and I was the boss, and I knew what I was about. I knew my strengths, and I was able to deal with the but there were other times when I was younger, especially when I was younger, when I felt more inferior and had to learn how to work with others, and oh, this person's got this strength and this smarts, and this person's a better maybe actor than I am, and how am I going to work to achieve that? So you kind of learn not only your place, but how to overcome where people tell you that you are, and how to overcome the pressures of others to find out who you are. And that's another thing that these characters are trying to deal with in the wrestling season.
A time that I experienced in my high school when I had to make a decision about staying strong about myself or following what I wanted to follow is when I used to play volleyball, and I played varsity volleyball, but I was also really, really into theater. And a lot of people told me that I couldn't do both. And I felt like a lot of my volleyball friends, it was very cliquey, and all my volleyball friends wanted me to stay doing that. And there was a lot of pressure against, not going into the theater world, and it's this weird thing, and they're all the weird people in school. And basically I had friends that I lost because I actually ended up choosing to do theater and to not keep playing volleyball. So it was a hard decision for me. And at the time it felt like all the popular kids were the sports kids. And so I felt like I was losing some popularity or losing, some status in my school. But I think, obviously, as I'm standing here talking to you in a show, it's been the joy of my life, and I followed it. And I think that if you just speak to what you want and who you are, that the friends you're going to lose aren't actually your friends, and the friends you gain are going to be, you gain them because you're following your dream and doing something you love.
So my personal experience that I had in high school that I somewhat connect to my character Luke in the play, and I'm sure many people can speak to this experience. In the play, my character Luke somewhat starts to question why he's friends with Matt, his best friend. he starts to question, why is he best friends with this guy? He starts to realize that there are a lot of things that are different about him and his best friend. And I remember in high school, I had a few friends who I had been friends with since a small age, and later, in my later years of high school, realized, why am I friends with these people? And started asking myself that question. And, realized after a certain point that it was a status issue, that I was simply connecting myself to these people still because I liked the idea of having friends, I liked the idea of being connected with these people, and I liked the status they allowed me by being connected to them. So there came a point where I had to sacrifice that status and break away from them based on my personal preferences to who I wanted my friends to be.